Now, to put some perspective on all this, joining me is Remy Piet, a senior partner at Embelli Advisory. Remy, always a pleasure to see you. Let's get right to it. The United States is saying the Summit of the Americas is a chance for the Biden administration to show its commitment to its neighbors to the South in an effort to combat COVID and corruption. But with three nations all loyal to Russia not attending, what kind of message do you think this is sending?
No, absolutely. I mean, it was a very interesting moment to try to develop some new ties and different ties with Latin America after the Trump administration was focused on Americas first. That was definitely not supportive of the development of Latin America. But unfortunately here, I mean, the Biden administration attempt at trying to set up the agenda has been indeed plagued by issues about who should be invited. Venezuela was not invited, same as Nicaragua. They never are invited. Cuba was not invited this time. Unfortunately, I mean, it was the last two times, two summits, Cuba was invited by the host nation. In that case, the host nation being the U.S., they didn't want to open a domestic politics issue in front of the Republican Party about inviting Cuba on U.S. soil, obviously. But that was an unfortunate turn of events at a time where the summit could have been extremely important, both on a series of levels, strategic issues in terms of reaffirming alliance in a conflict with Russia currently, and you see Brazil or Mexico having ambivalent positions towards this. At the political level, there's a series of key elections in Colombia right now, actually, between the two rounds of election, or in Brazil at the end of the year. And more generally, at the economic level, you do have a continent which has been drifting away from the U.S. and more towards China. If you actually take out Mexico, most of all Latin American countries, the rest of the region actually has China as the first economic partner and not the U.S. anymore. So it was a very important moment for the Biden administration to create some new ties, and so far we're falling short of these objectives.
Yeah, and there are some harsh headlines out on this Sunday targeting the Biden administration. One reading, and this is a quote, "The U.S. is scrambling to avoid the summit from being a flop." And some in Biden's own Democratic Party are really upset that he bowed to pressure from Cuban exiles in Miami to ban those leaders from Havana. Florida, clearly a swing state, going to be important in the upcoming election, but is it worth it?
Well, it's obviously a very clear and criticism actually based on true phenomena, especially right-wing opposition to Venezuela and to Cuba in Florida, and one of the key states in the upcoming midterm elections in the fall, played a huge role in deepening this crisis over who should be invited. Here, in case of the Biden administration, they were clumsy probably in terms of the moving forward towards that event. Unfortunately, in terms of, as I was saying, calendar issues. But clearly, you need to be able to, you had an opportunity here of creating new ties, especially with Venezuela. The Biden administration has preferred maybe more of a bilateral approach to Venezuela, trying to maybe lift some of the sanctions currently and do it in terms of looking at global energy strategy perspective, not so much in terms of reaffirming a presence of a country which is on the side of the arena of nations, to invite them in Los Angeles. That would not have been obviously a clear mediatic or positive news that would have been used by the right-wing media. And so that was very unfortunate for the Biden administration, and the possibilities of deepening the ties on other issues which would be much more interesting, such as ESG finance, such as investment in infrastructure, working on natural resources production, and having some clear supply chains management in Latin America, which is definitely the key issues that should be worked on and are currently discussed at the summit, could not pass through the fog of the invitation issues.
And Remy, one final word, we're going to have extensive coverage of that this week. We certainly appreciate your time. Remy Piet, again, a senior partner at Embelli Advisory. Thank you. Well, California has become